The cake was delicious, the champagne was bubbly, and right now, my wedding ring is the most uncomfortable thing in the world. I shifted uncomfortably, catching Rob's eye from across the breakfast bar. He smiles, that slow, sweet smile that used to melt my heart. Now, it just makes me feel guilty. You okay? He asks. Yeah, fine, I force the word out. Just, wedding stuff. A pathetic excuse, even to my own ears. The problem isn't the wedding. I mean, it should be the solution. 10 years with Rob, great years, and now we're finally making it official. But ever since that, it's like something shifted. Everything's the same, but it's not. He eats his cereal the same, kisses me the same before work, but it feels flat. Stale. Even his snoring, which used to be kinda cute, now makes me want to scream into a pillow. Work should be a distraction, but it's the opposite. Andrew's been there for years, just friendly banter and shared lunches. But since the wedding, I don't know. When he looks at me now, it's different. A lingering warmth behind his eyes that wasn't there before. Makes my cheeks burn a little too bright. God, I need to pull it together. Those after-work drinks with him yesterday? Way too many laughs, fingers brushing, accidentally, way too often. I shouldn't have let him walk me to the bus stop. Shouldn't have let my hand linger when he shook mine goodbye. And I most definitely shouldn't have thought about that touch on my commute back to Rob. To my husband. Hey, everything all right? Rob again. He's watching me like he knows I'm mentally a million miles away. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm at work, imagining Andrew's grin and how it makes my stomach do weird flip-floppy things. Things it hasn't done for Rob in years. Long day at work, I lie smoothly, and it hits me. I'm good at this. Lying. To my husband. I stare at my wedding ring, the gold glinting back like an accusation. It's barely been a month and I'm already fantasizing about another man? What the hell is wrong with me? My finger hovers over the send button. Should I? I shouldn't. Okay. Fine. There's no way I'm not. My thumb hits the screen, and the little text message flies across the office to Andrew. Can't stop thinking about last night. The reply comes almost instantly. Me neither. A smirk twitches my lips as a rush of naughty excitement surges through me. It's wrong, so wrong, but it feels impossibly good. The rest of the day is agony. My mind replaying Andrew's hands on me, the whispered promises that lit a wildfire in my belly. Every text buzz is pure adrenaline, pushing those guilty thoughts to the back of my mind. We make plans, not for a drink, but for tomorrow night. A hotel. The words shouldn't feel so thrilling, yet they do. Meetings running late, I tell Rob that night, voice cool and steady. He barely glances up from the TV, another sharp pang. Just a few months ago, he'd have questioned me, playfully teased me about it. Now, it's just normal. And that stings more than any suspicion could. Each step of my deception is nauseatingly easy. Booking the hotel room under a fake name, inventing an elaborate story about a conference for Rob. It's like someone else is doing this, someone bold and reckless. Someone who isn't wearing a wedding band. The hotel room is all plush carpet and heavy curtains, designed for secrets. The second the door clicks shut behind us, any lingering pretense vanishes. Andrew's hands feel electric on my skin, and for a moment, the guilt fades. It's all-consuming, the heat, the hunger, the intoxicating feeling that I'm flinging myself off a cliff with no parachute. Then, my phone buzzes on the nightstand. Rob, a simple text with a heart emoji. Just like that, reality comes crashing down. My stomach churns, and I shove the phone under a pillow like I can bury the shame just as easily. Andrew pulls me close, but I feel a million miles away. What was a fantasy is now a chilling reality. I'm not just the girl flirting at work, I'm the cheating wife. What the hell have I become? The smell of coffee makes me want to gag. I make a half-hearted attempt to smile at Rob, but he's already scrolling through his phone. I force down a piece of toast, my insides churning the whole time. How am I going to survive this? How can I possibly look him in the eye when all I see when I do is Andrew, the hotel room, and the monstrous lie I've become? It should be easier. I should just shut this whole thing down with Andrew, block him, tell him it was a mistake, a moment of madness. But the second I see him at work, all resolve washes away. We steal glances like kids passing secret notes in class. One whispered, "You look beautiful," in the hallway later, and that fire reignites. God, I'm pathetic. I'm living a double life now. Half of me is the wife, robotically going through the motions. The other half craves the stolen texts, the quick rendezvous in empty meeting rooms, the burning heat of Andrew's eyes on my body. And the scariest part? It's thrilling. But the thrill comes with a heavy, dread-filled chaser. I jump every time my phone buzzes, terrified Rob's somehow seen a text. I imagine every sideways look from a coworker means they know. Each time Rob kisses my cheek goodbye, I flinch, sure he must smell Andrew on my clothes. You seem distracted, Rob says one night, interrupting my frantic search for a stray hair clinging to his collar. He's right, I am. I'm distracted by my guilt, by the fear that's eating away at me. Just tired, I mumble, avoiding his eyes. It's a half-truth, at least. Sleep is a nightmare. I either wake up gasping after Rob discovers everything, or worse, I'm back with Andrew, my heart pounding with a lust that makes me feel sick. The lies are never ending now, each one a fresh knot in the tangled web I've woven. Work events, family emergencies. I spew excuses at Rob, and he eats them up. Because he trusts me, and I'm trashing that trust every single day. The thought is a cold stone sinking in my stomach, making it impossible to enjoy anything. Especially the stolen moments of pleasure that should be sweet, but now just taste like ash. I can't shake the feeling I'm being watched. Not by Andrew, by Rob. After dinner, that familiar question again. You sure everything's okay? He's trying so hard to reach me, and I'm building a wall between us brick by guilty brick. Just stressed, I manage, even though the word feels woefully inadequate. I'm stressed, all right. Stressed that every sideways glance from Rob is him piecing it together, stressed that Andrew's frustration at my newfound distance will lead to a reckless mistake, stressed that I'm 2 seconds away from snapping and confessing the whole ugly mess. The paranoia is its own monster. One night, I wake up convinced Rob's hovering over me, his eyes narrowed in silent accusation. When I jolt awake, there's no one there but the shadows and the pounding of my own terrified heart. The next morning, those shadows seem to linger in his eyes. Does he know? Is this some kind of twisted game before he drops the axe? At work, things aren't much better. Andrew, bless his oblivious heart, hasn't noticed Rob's growing suspicion, but I have. He sulks, his flirting now edged with a desperation that sends a shiver of fear down my spine. We need to talk, he demands, cornering me by the coffee machine. My heart lurches into my throat. About last night? About the fact I barely responded to his texts? About the fact I want this to be over? Before I can answer, Sarah, Andrew's wife, the one I try desperately to avoid, walks by. My distraction is clear, and something flashes in Andrew's eyes. Is he jealous, or starting to suspect? Later, while grabbing a file I accidentally overheard whispers Andrew's name, then something about an intern, and a hotel. My world tilts sideways. Is this why he was so insistent? Just another fling for him? Me? Just a notch on his bedpost? Fury surges through me, hot and blinding. Then another, even more terrifying realization hits. Everyone knows. Everyone but Rob. That night is pure torture. My gaze flits nervously to Rob's phone more times than I can count. And then it happens, a text notification. I know the sender before I even look. The world shrinks down to those few glowing lines on the screen. Something sweet, something sexy, something utterly damning. Rob's in the shower, but my shaking hands fumble to delete it before he sees. He can't see. He can never see. But when he emerges, eyes still soft with sleep, I can barely meet his gaze. The question hangs heavy in the air. Is it suspicion I see there now, or just the hurt of a husband wondering why his wife is suddenly a million miles away? Talk to me. Rob's voice is low, a dangerous rumble in the otherwise still air. I can't look at him. Can't see the pain in his eyes, the way he's holding himself like a single wrong move might shatter him entirely. There's nothing to say, I croak, but it's a pathetic lie. The words are there, poisonous and vile, buzzing behind my teeth. Confess. Apologize. Explain. Just get it over with. But even with the world crashing down, there's still a flicker of terrified defiance. You're crazy, I snap instead, projecting your own insecurities onto me. His flinch is like a whiplash across my skin. 10 years of trust, 10 years of us, and in one agonizing moment, I undo it all. The accusations fly fast and furious then. Each word slices open new wounds on both our hearts. The safe, familiar room has become a battlefield. When it's over, when the shouting fades into sobs, I collapse on our bed, our perfect bed, and feel nothing but a hollow emptiness where love was supposed to reside. Rob's on the couch, an unbridgeable ocean between us. Sleep doesn't come, just memories of his smile, his touch, the life I've carelessly thrown away. Then, that damned phone buzzes. It's Andrew, oblivious, stupid, reckless me hits reply. All it takes is one glance from Rob. One glance before he lunges, snatching my phone from hands that suddenly feel coated in grime. The messages are there, damning evidence in those glowing rows of text. My stupid confession of missing him, his reply, promising another stolen night. Rob doesn't even need to say it. His face, God, his face. It shatters. It's not anger at first, but a gut-wrenching, bone-deep hurt. Like all the oxygen has been sucked from the room, leaving him gasping. And I'm the one who turned off the air. How could you? It's barely a whisper, broken glass on the floor. The apologies spill forth, mangled and useless. Then the blame. It's ugly, the things we say, ripping into what's left of our life until it's not just a mess, but an unrecognizable pile of ash. I say things I can never take back, and worse, I know they're true. It ends with a door slamming, the vibration running up my spine. I sink to the floor and finally let the tears fall, wishing not for forgiveness, but oblivion. Each clang of a fork against a plate sounds like a death knell for our marriage. Breakfast is the worst, the morning light cruelly highlighting the empty space beside me at the table. Rob doesn't look up from his cereal. Even the silence is accusatory. He's banished to the guest room now. That door with its new, heavy lock might as well be a tombstone on 10 years. Last night, I heard him crying on the other side. Quiet sobs that made me want to curl up and die, but pride held me back. I deserve this misery. Maybe if I suffer enough, the guilt might wash away. Spoiler alert. It doesn't. I break things off with Andrew over the phone. It's cowardly, I know, but seeing him again, feeling the pull, would have shattered what little resolve I have left. His anger surprises me, then he flips, acting like this was nothing, like I was just a fling. The realization stings more than any insult would have. I was a fool, just another notch on his bedpost. The news travels fast. Rob's sister calls. She's his champion, always has been, but even her voice has an edge to it now. Disappointment tinged with pity. She says the right things, but I know she's silently judging. Everyone is. Work is worse. My little escape route is now a war zone of covert glances and whispered speculation. I swear, the elevator dings sound accusing. They know, they all do. This isn't just gossip anymore, it's my legacy. The woman who ruined her perfect life for some cheap, meaningless thrill. I pack a bag with trembling hands. Each folded shirt, each neatly arranged pair of shoes, is an exercise in agony. Our wedding photos stare mockingly from the dresser. Rob's in the living room. I don't tell him I'm leaving, just put the suitcase by the door. Going somewhere? His voice is sandpaper, devoid of feeling. It's somehow worse than anger would have been. I nod, unable to find my voice. I want to kneel, beg for forgiveness, or even understanding. But the words won't come, and even if they did, they would mean nothing now. I walk towards the door, and for the first time, this place doesn't feel like home. The door closes with a soft click, not a bang. It's the most anticlimactic ending to the most destructive thing I've ever done. I stand there for a moment, unsure where to go, what to do. All I know is that turning the knob was easy compared to what comes next. The new city isn't a fresh start, it's exile. This cramped apartment, its sterile walls and unfamiliar creaks, just amplifies the silence echoing in my heart. I am what those rom-coms warned against, the woman with a suitcase full of regrets, and nowhere to unpack them. Nights are the worst. Sleep is a fickle beast. When it finally does come, it's riddled with nightmares. His eyes, once filled with warmth, now burning with hatred. I wake with ragged gasps, the sheets coiled around me like a shroud. Even morning brings no escape, only the dull ache of guilt that's become as familiar as my own heartbeat. News travels even to this isolated corner of my new life. Rob's sister, an unlikely lifeline in this disaster, sends a clipped text. He's seeing someone new. Sarah, of all people. They met at a charity event, she says. It should hurt more than it does. It should feel like a fresh betrayal, but deep down, there's a flicker of, what? Relief? Is it even possible to be happy for him, knowing I destroyed any chance of my own happiness? I try to fill the void. Dates, mostly. Tinder swipes. Awkward coffee meetups. Each time, there's that moment. The pause when they ask about my past, when honesty feels like the only way forward. And each time, their eyes change. Pity, judgment, or worse, a flicker of predatory interest. I'm damaged goods now. My escape is work, mindless spreadsheets, until one day, it isn't. I stumble across an article. It's one of those clickbait self-help trash pieces, but something in the title stings. Infidelity. The lies we tell ourselves. It's harsh, brutal, eviscerating every pathetic excuse I've been clinging to. That night, everything shatters again. Not with a bang of anger, but the quiet sobs of a soul finally acknowledging the devastation. It's the turning point, not the grand kind from movies, but a desperate, painful one. Therapy starts the next week. It's awkward and humiliating, laying bare the ugliest parts of myself for a stranger who charges by the hour. I talk about Rob, the good times, the way he laughed at my silly jokes. The therapist doesn't offer easy comfort. She asks why. Why ruin all that? I still don't have the answer. Time becomes a blur of introspection, punctuated by tears that sometimes feel pointless, and other times, like they might actually be washing something away. I don't emerge whole, because maybe I never really was, but there's a strength forging amidst the shattered pieces. One day, I look in the mirror and the haunted woman staring back doesn't frighten me as much. The betrayal will always be there, a scar on my soul, but maybe, just maybe, it doesn't have to define me anymore.